This is a lean forward and hope you don't get your white shirt dirty sort of dish. For me, tacos are the perfect entertaining dish. Now this is a very Tex-Mex recipe. It's not your traditional Mexican recipe. It's got beautiful big chunks of beef that we're gonna pull at the end. You want a nice fatty bit of chuck steak, lots of flavor through there, and you just wanna give it a really quick season with some salt. Cooked low and slow for 2.5 to 3 hours. It's just gonna fall apart and be really tender on the taco. I'm gonna cook my steak in 2 batches so that I don't overcrowd the pan and cool it down. If you think about a perfect steak, it's got that beautiful caramelized crust. That's all we're doing here. We wanna just caramelize and brown our meat, put it in the pan, and then kind of forget about it for a little bit. Just leave that for a couple of minutes, then we'll turn it over and we'll get back into making our tacos. It should be ready to turn, and have a look at that. That's our caramelization we're looking for. When this cooks down, it's gonna break apart and be really soft and tender. That's why we put this little bit of effort in at the start. You get really delicious reward at the end. Once it's all caramelized, we're gonna transfer it into an oven-safe dish. We don't need to add any more oil in at this stage. Just warm that pan back up. Once it's smoking like this, we're good to go. Straight into our tray. We've got a couple of little spots that have caramelized where the beef's stuck to the pan. That's all flavor, so I don't want to waste that. I've got an onion here. We're gonna really quickly fry this off, and we can put that into our dish and we won't lose any of that lovely caramelized flavor. Now I've turned the flame off at this stage. I'm just using the residual heat in the pan to finish cooking the onions. Now we can quickly add in the rest of our braising ingredients. A couple of garlic cloves I'm just gonna quickly crush. Keep them nice and whole. I've got some cumin here, just ground cumin, so that can go in and just toast off quickly. Dried coriander seeds, powdered. That's gonna go really well with our beef. My personal favorite spice of all time, ever, full stop. Smoked paprika. It's a pepper, just like a capsicum, so it's a really beautiful combination. And then, I've got a little bit of beer to go in here. So, tip in some beer and then give it a little swirly, just to mix all that stuff in so that when we pour it over our beef, it'll mix through nice and evenly. Chipotle, for me, this is the smell of Mexican / Tex-Mexican food. It's kind of dark and deep and just full of flavor. And it's got a good amount of heat. It's not blow your head off. It's a pretty good whack of heat and it'll really give us a little bit of warmth. And it just takes a humble beef taco to the next level. And that's what we're trying to do here. We've got lots of spice, lots of heat in here. We just want a little bit of sugar to balance things out. And I'm not even worried about really dissolving the sugar. It'll finish dissolving in the oven. Now I can just pour this braising liquid over the top of our beef. And you want just enough to cover. So that looks pretty good, to be honest. You've got the onions in there. Top this off with a little pinch of salt, black pepper. I mean, it smells like one of those packet sachets, but just bumped up 100%. It's just a fancier twist on a classic. Now, we're gonna put this into the oven and let the oven do all the work. A little bit of baking paper, just to cover the meat so that it doesn't touch the foil. And then a nice sheet of foil to lock in all that flavor. We're cooking this at a low heat. We're gonna go 160 degrees for 2.5 to 3 hours. Our beef is ready. It smells amazing. I'm just gonna let it sit there for a couple of minutes just to cool down before I pull it apart. While that happens, I'm gonna make a really quick coriander salsa. Zest of a lime, the juice of that same lime, a good pinch of salt, a crack of black pepper, and a little dash of oil. And then with a stick blender, we want to blitz this until it's nice and smooth. This is pretty simple. We're going to just mix our little coriander salsa with our sour cream. Just pour it over the top. We don't want to fully combine it. We want to kind of keep it separate. So you still get the fresh pops of the salsa and the nice richness of the sour cream. Now let's check out our beef. Have a look at this, how tender this beef is. By cooking our beef slowly in the oven at a low temperature, it's just broken down the fat and the meat and the little bits of connective tissue in our chuck steak. It's just the next level from mince. It's just delicious and it's just a lovely combination. How good does that look? Now we're gonna make our tacos. So I'm using a flour tortilla today. I just like the flour tortillas for this mix, but corn would work just as well. I toast my tortillas in a pan just to get that lovely little spots of caramelization and also just to soften them and make it a bit more pliable. I'm gonna start actually with a bit of cabbage. I like the crunch that it gives. It's got a better texture than lettuce for me on a taco. Really thinly sliced cabbage, and then just a little pile of our pulled beef. And I just wanna drip off most of the liquid. I like to leave it in the liquid because it keeps it nice and moist and juicy, but we don't wanna leave too much on there. Perfect. And then fresh, thinly sliced red onion, salsa, which can just go along the side here with the sour cream and the blitzed up coriander. And then I like to crumble over a little bit of feta. I think that's the best cheese, for the closest cheese I've found to the cheese you get in Mexico and in southern Texas. And then to finish it all off, just a little bit of fresh lime over the beef. And there you have it. That is my favorite dish to cook for people when I want to entertain them. Have as much fun with it as possible. Have a bit of mariachi music playing. I just love tacos so much. And that is a very good taco.